Hi guys and welcome back to Christian Cast where I build bait so you don't have to. Today we are going to do a classic lipless crankbait because I've still got one of the blanks and actually I've still got two but one isn't prepared. This one is prepared already so we can start straight away with the airbrushing process. If you saw last week's video, you know that I'm really excited because it's the first big swim bait that I have made with a silicone tail. I also tried a little bit with the scales to make a three-parted scaling system. I really like how it turned out. We're still going to test the action. I also prepared new tails in a turquoise color because I am actually going to make a second bait before I take them both out, and I'll be weighting that one a little bit different um, because this is a slowly rising bait and I might try, I don't know if I'll manage, to make a slowly sinking bait. So we're gonna do two variants on it and just test them both, see how the action is, if we have to move the joint slot further back, but that you'll anyway see if you know the video of last week what I'm talking about. Otherwise, I really enjoy the silicone tails. They just are really cool. The cast works really well. I'll go into detail how I did the mold and also what I'm casting with in a separate video for you guys, that you guys can do it at home yourself with tails, fins, things like that, because it is quite a easy process and it really just gives the lure something special, I would say. So I'll straight away set you guys up. Today's going to be a very bright airbrushing video and tutorial. We will be working with a lot of pinks and purples because I've got the colors and I just want to slowly get rid of all the old colors that I have and get the Valero colors for the ones that get empty. And in murky water, something bright often helps. So I thought today we're going to be really bright, and I'll set you guys on the desk and we'll straight away get started. So see you soon. So as you see, we are working with our well-known lipless crankbait that you can also download the STL on my Etsy shop and support the channel. We have got our white loaded and we're just going to ground our bait with white in the first step. So that is going to be the first layer of white. I'll let this set. Then I'll go over a second time as well still before adding the first layer. We're going to be working with some pink, so some fluorescent pink. I've got some blues and also some purples. So today is going to be, as I said, something really bright. I've also got some eyes already prepared for this bait that really come out and are very strong and bold. So I'll straight away let this set and I'll get you guys back once I start adding some color. Well, we are back and I've loaded up our fluorescent pink and we're gonna pretty much cover the entire side and top of our bait with this pink and add a first layer pretty much of color. So there we go. It is really bright and very unusual for what I usually do, but we'll let this dry and then we'll go ahead and add some normal pink, not as far down, and slowly build up a color transition before adding a 3D printed stencil. So stick around if you're interested how this actually turns out. I'm also going to try and be very heavy on the scales today because we'll be covering up a lot of the bright color we add right now, and then we'll see how it turns out in the end. We have now added our normal pink, and we will straight away grab our bait and go over the top first to just darken it down a little bit more, and also along the sides. As you see, we get a darker line, and we're gonna pull that about to there. And now we're gonna be starting with the purples and build in a little bit of purple. This is gonna be quite a easy color transition because you can just really build up everything with colors you don't want to use, and they are very similar. So I tend to use purples, blues, green, pinks, purples, blues, because they are complementary to each other. And something like this you can always do with colors that are similar in their tones. So you make a easy color transition, build it up from the bottom layer till going darker, 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 and you seem to get like a rainbow build up. So that's what we are gonna do today before making a whitish belly, and we'll see where it takes us. I often don't know what I'm doing while painting the lures, or I don't really have something special in mind. I just look at colors and decide how I go ahead step for step along the way. So let's see what we can make together. Well, as I said before, next color is going to be some purple, and we'll go ahead from the top and start again with darkening our spine a little bit with this purple, and we'll end up with something like this. Now the next step is going to be adding a little bit of metallic purple to give it a little bit of a shine before we actually go ahead and do a little bit of a stencil paint with the ultramarine before cleaning up everything with some metallic blue, or we will add metallic blue and do a ultramarine back and stencil. I'm not too sure yet how I'm gonna build those two colors in, but we'll see along the way. I'll still clean up also the top edge here, because as you see, the corner itself doesn't get as much paint as the flat surfaces. So we'll try and make sure that we also darken them down about like that, and we'll do that here as well. And now we have got our purple pretty much finished and as I want it to be. And now we'll get ready for adding our second purple layer before going into the blues. We have got our metallic purple locked and loaded, and we'll straight away go ahead again from the top, as in most of these steps, add a little bit of shine to our lure like this, and then we will still go ahead and add a little bit of glitter like that. So we have now got a little bit of a shine of metallic purple coming through, and I really like how this is slowly developing a nice transition. We will now still add a metallic blue stencil and darken the back once again before cleaning up all the overspray with the ultramarine, and then we'll be ready for starting our scale pattern. And I'm not too sure what I am going to do because I think the silver would cover up quite a lot, so maybe I'll do a white, metallic medium and black scale paint, but we'll see that anyway in the following clips. So I've loaded the metallic blue and we are going to go ahead and place our stencil. I've actually never used this stencil in its entirety. We just used it in the last video to add some spots on our big swimbait, so we're going to be quite light on it. We're just going to do a heavy spray on the eye, and then just try and build in the entire thing like that. So we're gonna leave it at this right now. I'll let this dry, turn it around, come over from the other side as well. And I'm not too happy how this metallic blue sprays, but I think it is already a older color, but we'll try and make it work. And we anyway clean up the most still with the ultramarine from the top, and then we'll be going into the scale pattern and fins. So this is anyway still quite at the start of the process. Well, we are back and we've got our last really strong color for today. It's the aquamarine blue, and we'll go ahead and darken our spine and also clean up a little bit so that is going to be what we're working with before we now start the scale pattern. So the first thing of the scales is going to be a very light white coat for today, but I will first clean up the belly a little bit with the white, and then we'll wrap this bait up and see what the scales actually make. And we're going to try and do a three-parted scale pattern today again, although I'm going to be using the window mesh, but I'm going to try and be gentle that we get that 3D optic from the last bait that we also did. So the big swim bait, actually the scales were made on 3 steps. We're going to try this on this bait today as well. Well, we are back, and before wrapping it up for the scales, I'm going to still clean up the belly with some white. So this is going to be the last step before actually adding our scales. I'm actually going to leave that little bit of white right there and just come over so a bit to the front and just leave it like that. So that is going to be what we're working with for the scale pattern, and I'll get you guys back once I start adding these scales. Well, I've prepared our bait for the scale pattern, and we are going to be going ahead and I just put a spray barrier quickly and really spraying it from the front like this. So I'll be going at an angle like that, and we're just gonna add a white coat for the first layer. Then we'll be going ahead and putting in some black, and in the last step we'll be spraying at an angle, and we'll be using the metallic medium. So we'll straight away get started. We don't want to be too heavy with this, but we want a nice gentle coat of white on the bait. It will cover up a little bit of the very bold colors we are using today, and I'll straight away turn this around to this side and be very gentle, and we'll spray it from this side, and as I said, we'll be very direct with it. And I don't worry too much of the scale pattern being too strong today, because we are using such colorful paints, and I anyway tend to worry that we frighten fish away with very bold and unnatural colors. So we won't be worrying too much of covering it. So pretty much we just tend to cover up anyway most of that what we did before. Now I'll turn it to this side, and we'll be going in this direction with the black color. No, wrong direction. We'll be spraying black this direction, and that's going to be the next step, but you'll anyway see once I add everything in the airbrush. Well, we've got our black in, and now we'll be just spraying along like this to see that the color just adds on the front. Well, we hope it just adds on the front through spraying at this angle, and my airbrush isn't wanting to completely do what I want, but I have to clean them thoroughly for the upcoming video, and we'll just leave it at this for now. And now we'll go ahead and clean out the airbrush, put in the metallic medium, and finish from the front, and then the scale pattern will be done, and we'll look what we were able to create. So we've got the last color, it's the metallic medium, and we'll be just heading over the entire bait like that. The top will really cover hard, and then we'll just try to be a bit gentler on these sides. So that's gonna be it for today's build. From the scale pattern, I'll get you guys back once I unwrap it, and we still add a fin stencil, and then we'll be ready for gluing in eyes and actually looking at it under the clear coat. Well, let's take a look at what we created through our scale pattern today. I was quite heavy, as I said. We don't really mind that much because we're using very bold colors. So today's lure will pretty much look like this. The original color will come through a lot stronger once the clear coat is on, so I'm not too worried about that. And as you see here, the window mesh wasn't on completely, so we don't have such a clean pattern, but that also doesn't mind too much. It's not perfect, but it's okay. So we'll now still wait until this is fully dried, add our fin stencil, then we'll glue in eyes and do the clear coat, and we'll see how it looks under the clear coat. I'm quite excited to see how the color actually comes through, and also the fluorescent action under the UV light. So I've prepared everything for the fin, and we'll go ahead. Darken that down. I'm not so sure if I'll go completely black on it. My airbrush is still giving me a little bit of a hassle, and I don't want to lose the actual set of where I've got the fin. But we'll see if we're able to still squeeze a little bit of color out. But otherwise we'll just leave it as it is, because it anyway is quite strong already, and we'll head over into the details in the next step, and that is gonna be with our pearly white medium. So we'll place this here, grab our stencil, make sure that we align it properly again. So I'll make space here. Just like that. And we'll set this properly on. Make sure that we've got all the details, and that's gonna be the fin optic of today's lure. So I am quite happy with how it turned out in general. We'll still do the other side, and then I'll get you guys back once we glue in the eyes. So as you see, I have got something themed for today's bait, and we'll straight away go ahead and add these eyes. They fit perfectly to the paint scheme made today. I added a little bit too much super glue, but nothing we can't fix with dabbing it away a bit, just like this, without getting too much on the eye itself, because they tend to go milky and we don't want that. And now I'll just add the second one. I am actually wearing gloves today because I noticed that through touching it, I actually hate wearing gloves in this process, but you tend to get a clear coat if you don't touch the bait too much. And now we've got a problem with this eye. I have to redo it, but once it's redone, I will get you guys back for the clear coat. So we are actually ready for the clear coat, and before we start, I'm going to show you its UV action. Right, I'll try and get the light. So as you can see and pick up, I don't know, the camera doesn't pick up as much as I actually see myself, because the light is quite empty already, but these pink areas are really fluorescent and they will come out nicely. Now we'll go ahead and start our clear coat, and then I'll see you guys for the outro. I'll just show you how it looks underneath the layer. So today's bait is gonna be, once it's done, like this. The pink doesn't come through too strong, which is quite nice, because I don't like too bright lures, and I think this will still be able to work well in murkier water because it is still quite bright but not too bright to scare fish. But we'll see anyway how it goes, and I'll see you guys for the outro in the next clip. Hi guys, and welcome back to the outro. Another bait is done. So today's lure is quite a bright one. It is a little bit fluorescent. I nearly forgot to do the outro because I was already in preparing the big swim bait. I weighted it now. It is going to be a very slow sink. The clear coat is still going to add a little bit of weight, so it's going to sink a little bit quicker than right now. But I'm really happy how it actually performs right now. And I'm really happy with this lure as well. Something bright you can throw in bad weather conditions and murky water. So that is quite cool, and I just want to say thanks again for joining for another airbrushing tutorial, and we will see each other for the next swim bait. And I'm really excited. I enjoy doing them. The silicone tail is quite cool. I'm gonna do a redo of the first micro swim bait that I did, and we're going to be adding a silicone tail for that bait as well. So keep tuned for future bait builds, and I wish you guys a great one, and keep on fishing. We'll see each other. Cheers.